Welcome back to a special edition of In the Hot Seat here for the Podium Finish and Podium Finish Live. I'm Rob Tiongson, and it is my honor and privilege for the final time for this particular individual as a full-time driver to be in this segment. Parker Kligerman, driver of the number 48 Big Machine Spike Light Coolers Vodka Chevrolet Camaro ZL1, fielded by Big Machine Racing, as you can see in his background right there. And
Yep.
Parker,
Yep.
we're at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Before we get started, how are you doing, my friend?
It's been an interesting week, as you can imagine, but I still echo the same sentiments had after the race, which was grateful to have been in that position to move on and to rise up and have the performance we did. It just it didn't go our way, and that's NASCAR sometimes. But yeah, we're at Vegas now, and we got a couple more chances to go get a checkered flag, and I think last week proved to all of us that we can. And hey, why not do it here? It's a great place and a great opportunity to do it.
Absolutely. You got four chances at the apple to bite. So never give up. That's what you've been doing all your life. But we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in this interview. So as we get started here, now I know you're in the midst of your final Xfinity Series races as a full-time competitor. So you kind of touched upon it, but I want to know from an emotional standpoint, how are you feeling and how are you preparing for these races, considering your journey from Westport, Connecticut to now where you are driving for the 48 team?
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't changed, right? And having done this as long as I have, I've always put the same amount of effort into it, and it's taken an immense effort, sacrifice, all those things that everyone talks about to do this and to be at this level. And I'll bring that to the next couple of weeks. My preparation and everything I've done just in this week has been exactly the same that I've done for 15 years. So, well, with some adjustments as I've gotten smarter, hopefully, better at that. But yeah, I think knowing it's coming to an end is obviously on your mind, but it's not something I dwell on or want to change how we do this. Like, I want to make sure that we go out in the best way possible. We have a chance to finish fifth in points. We still got a chance to go get a trophy here in the next couple of weeks. And, that's my goals, and I'm going to give everything I've got to do that. How long this journey has been, to me, it's I'm past that sort of thought process and everything because I made that decision this summer, right? And now it's just about finishing strong and doing the best I can with all our team and all our guys who've worked on this to hopefully reward them with a win. And if we're able to do that, it would be really, really special. And especially, just even to improve on where we finished in points last year, right? We finished 10th in points last year. If we could get to the fifth, that would be incredible. Be a huge achievement for Big Machine Racing, all these guys in this race team, and we can all hold our heads high that we put in a hell of an effort in 2024.
I think you already have, but I know as a driver, you want to have that exclamation point, not just to hear from a journalist like me telling you this, because obviously the true indication of what you're doing is what you do, not what I'm telling you. But I think you've done a great
Appreciate it.
job, my friend. Of course,
Thanks, man. Thanks.
yeah. And it was really powerful when I watched that announcement on the money lap when you had the epiphany on top of that mountain in San Francisco, which I think I've had those kind of moments too in my life, being a little bit older than you, but not much older. So I'm just kind of curious, how much clarity did you have knowing that this was going to be your final full-time season, despite the fact a lot of people have come up to me and they said, Parker, you're only 34, you're young.
Yeah. Um, I can't, the way I described it and what happened, it's just like one of those things where you don't know till you know, right? And maybe it crosses your mind at times, you're going through tough times, that sort of stuff. But I think for me it was a very similar moment in that I realized I'm like, hey, I think it's time and I think I want to, pursue other things and I'm really excited about what I'm doing next, hopefully, and able to go after and some things that have been on my mind for years that I just haven't had the time because I'm so dedicated to this and so focused on this. Um, and I feel really lucky. Like my God, I got to do this and do it at a seriously high level, and to do it with great people and to have chances like we had last weekend at trophies, and to get to a point where I felt at peace with it, right? And now it's about doing some other things I've wanted to do really badly, and hopefully they are successful as well. We'll see, but it's that moment was really powerful for me because it just, as you put it, provided that clarity and it provided peace, and I think that's something that we all strive for in every facet of life, no matter what you're doing, and especially in sports. I think athletes are unique in that you have to kind of have a expiration date. Like, that's just natural. This is a performance business that no matter what athleticism endeavor you do, you're going to have an expiration date. And that's just the nature of this deal. And it's, you get for a short period of time in the grand scheme of things to live a life that millions and billions of people would want to live. And that's an incredible thing. And then it's about, okay, but you're still, usually when you're done, you're pretty young. And so what do you do next? Right. And it's tough for some. Some are some are told when it's over. Some get to decide. I feel very lucky, that I was in the latter, and it's, I think it's a scary time, but exciting time. And I've always enjoyed the times of my life where I have no idea what's next, because I always feel like that's the opportunity for it to be anything, maybe greater than you could ever imagine. And I think, hopefully that's on the horizon for me.
That's the beautiful part about the fact that you made the decision at a young age, is that you have plenty of time to decide what that's going to be. You're not having to worry about, time being against your side. You have so much, opportunity to decide what you're going to do next. And I know whatever you put your footprint on, your hands on, it's going to be successful. So no
Appreciate
doubt
that.
about
Thank you.
that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
of course. Now, I know you talked about this before we got started, and I have to ask, as a journalist, you talked about the fact about the Rovals. It's it's a NASCAR call. And I think he handled it so maturely, just kind of like what Shannon Spake said on NASCAR Daily. But what was the thought process when that happened? And now that you're in Las Vegas, are you thinking like, man, you know what? Clean slate. I got to forget about it. It sucks, but this is what I got to do now.
Well, I've only done about 6 shows this week about it, so I've had to relive it multiple times, including Money Lap, my podcast. So,
Yeah.
look, I know a lot of people want me to get out of the car and say, screw NASCAR and all this stuff and everything, and it's like it's not. One, I don't truly feel that way. I feel like, yes, would it have been nice if it the circumstance was different and we were across the line and it was the final, we got the white and we were able to win it. Yes, of course, it would have been amazing, as we all strive for. But we didn't. And, part of why I wasn't completely distraught is that I wasn't surprised. Like, I've sat on pit road doing pit reporting and watched plenty of teams and drivers have their heart ripped out by an ill-timed caution, or an unfortunate circumstance. And so that is the nature of racing. There's an incredible amount of moving parts. It is a highly irrational endeavor that, which also makes it so powerful when it all comes together and you're able to, go out and win, because it's incredibly hard to do. So, I have gone through all the stages of grief, I would say, of sadness, disappointment, anger, so on and so forth. But I keep going back to one thing, and I've said this consistently, and I said it basically after the race, and that is, at the end of the day, when we needed more performance than we've ever had, we all rose up and found it. My pit crew had an incredible stop. My team stuck to a strategy that at one point maybe didn't look like it was the best one, but they stuck to their guns. We had a car that could compete at the front, and I, as a driver, rose up and found more speed than I'd had the whole weekend. And that's all you can do. And if you do that and you get the trophy, great, awesome, you did your job. If you don't, that's racing. Move on to the next one. There's always another race.
Exactly. And I'll tell you before I get to my next question, my 8-year-old nephew watched the race and he was so distraught for you because he thought you deserved to win. But I told him, look, Francisco, that's how you handle defeat, just like that. So when something bad happens in your life, handle it like Parker did at the Charlotte Roval, because that's how people will respect you and find that you are a true winner, not because you got a checkered flag, but because you gave it your best. And that's sometimes how life goes. So I like that you gave that life
Appreciate it.
lesson to him.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. No, I've seen a lot of comments. There's the outpouring support from fans, and moments and comments like that have been really touching. A lot of people have teared up and that sort of thing. And I don't ever want to make people feel sad, but I appreciate them being on the emotional journey with me and supporting me, and obviously seeing that, the positive, and how, in those situations, being true to yourself and reacting in a manner that you can go to sleep at night and say that, I conducted myself in front of a large audience in a way that I respect. I think that's really important. So, I'm very grateful for their support. I love hearing all those stories. I wish they were happy tears, but it is, this is the reason we do this, and we get to do this, is because of fans who tune in to go through those emotional roller coasters with us. And I'm just glad that they were on the roller coaster with us.
Of course, for sure. Even for an 8-year-old kid who thinks you're like the greatest driver in the world. So
I agree with
he's
him,
gonna
actually. No, he's totally right. So
I wish he had the chance to watch your race, but we'll talk about that another time. Now, of course, I got to talk about how you've raced for Scott Borchetta basically since late 2022, which that was one of the best storylines from that season when you were given the chance to race for his team, and then that blossomed into a full-time opportunity last year and this year. What does it mean for you to know that you've contributed to Scott's program and have it grow these past 2.5 years?
yeah, I mean, it's been massive, and when I came here, we had a lot of work to do as this young race team, and we all went to put our heads down and went to work and went through some tough times and some good times. But at the end of the day, I feel like this race team's in the best position it's ever been in. Especially since I got here, and it's in a better place than when I got here, right? And a lot of that was processes and people, and just building a notebook and doing all the things you have to do behind the scenes to go out there and compete against stalwarts like Joe Gibbs Racing and Stuart Haas and Junior Motorsports and so on and so forth. And so we've gotten them there. We have done everything but win a trophy. We've gotten in the playoff twice. We've gotten to the owner points playoffs for the first time this year. We've had great finishes. We've done everything but win that trophy. And that's why last weekend would have meant a lot. But, I feel like for Scott and what he asked me to do when I came here, I've lived up to my end of the bargain. And hopefully, when I look at this race team in the future, it's going on to bigger, better things. And we built that base, so I'm allowed to do that. And, nothing would make me happier than seeing them win tons of races for Scott. Everyone involved, Spike Coors, Big Machine Vodka, because, I'll always feel like I had a hand in getting this race team to where it is now, and having the chance to compete at the front and be a part of the championship fight and become a championship caliber race team, which I think it is.
I think so too. And it's an amazing journey because I think it coincides with how you've developed as a driver and individual, Parker. So it's been so cool to watch. And I'm curious to see how these next 4 weeks are going to roll out for you and the team. I have a couple more questions before you get that driver's suit and get to your job.
Yep.
This is probably an emotional
Sure.
question I'm going to ask you. But
Okay.
how do you hope fans will remember you when you get out of that 48 car for the final time at Phoenix Raceway next month?
That's actually, I haven't thought about it. I think I got to see that this week with all the support from the fans, and how flattering it was, their comments, and how kind they were about my career and driving, and the way I've conducted myself as a driver. When I was younger, I wanted to be remembered just for being fast. I think for now, looking back at my career and such, I wish there was a lot more trophies. But if I had to say, one thing would be that people enjoyed me being here, right? Like whether that's in front of the camera or on track, racing, content, whatever. If you enjoyed me being here, then that means the world to me, because I love this sport. I'll love it for as long as I live. I want to be a part of it forever in some capacity, shape, or form. But I think you always want to know if you matter, if people even care you're there. I saw that this week, and it meant the world. It was very flattering. But, from here on out, if people look back, I just hope they enjoyed me being here.
I think they will. And there won't be any dry eyes when you get out of that car. I can tell you that. So be prepared for that. Get the Kleenex ready.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll see me more and more, honestly. So we'll see in a
For
different
sure.
capacity. But yeah.
Yeah, actually, and that leads to my final question. Oh my goodness, my final question
Okay.
for you as a driver. This is tough, man. What are you most looking forward to with your immediate future when you are knowing you're not being in the race car every weekend and you're getting to be Parker Kligerman, the person?
The first thing is, even when I wasn't full time, and I tried to explain this to people why I said not pursuing full time anymore, I was always working towards it. And for the better part of 22 years, all I've known is trying to be a professional race car driver and do this as a career. And I've been lucky enough to do that. And I haven't been able to turn that off yet. Now, come after Phoenix, I'm going to turn that off. Now, I might go do some driving, some racing. It just won't be in this capacity of saying, "Hey, this is this is my job now. This is my career." I don't know what that's like. I really can't tell you. I've told everyone, I was like, I don't know what that feels like. I'll find out post Phoenix. When I turn that switch off for the first time, because I'm a definite go person, and this is going to be different for sure. So we'll see. But I'm also very excited about that, because as I said, there's things I've wanted to do that I just didn't have the time, and a lot of it's in the content world. And I hope I can over time make it successful. But it's the other passion of mine is cars and automotive stuff and making content around that and motorsports. And I there's I have access to things that I feel like would be really cool, and I want to go make things I think are cool. And so this will open up the time to do that. We'll probably hit the ground running in November, already doing that, so people will start seeing some things. But um, it's going to be different. There's no doubt. And I don't know, with their jumping into the content side and that world, I guess it's sort of filling the void right away. But it will be different. There's no doubt. And I don't know. I'm excited about it though, and I won't know what that feels like till I do it in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So it's gonna be different. There's no doubt.
Different, but different is going to be good, and it's always good to
Different
challenge
is good.
yourself to new things.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
For
listen, my
sure.
friend, I know you better get going to get practice because Paul's going to hit me in the head in the hammer because I'm holding you hostage. I won't do that.
It's all
But
good. It's all
Parker,
good.
if I may say so, for the last several years, it's been my pleasure to interview you, to talk to you as a driver, and I can't wait to talk to you about your endeavors, about cars, or whatever it may be. So I hope this is not the last time we talk to each other.
It won't be, Rob. I appreciate it, man. You've always been a big fan and a consummate professional who always asks great questions, comes prepared. I appreciate that more than you know, having been on that side of it as well. And for all the people that have listened to your show and watched your show, I appreciate them going along on this journey with us. This won't be the last time we talk. I hope, if all goes to plan, it won't be.
I look forward to it, my friend. So instead of saying see you never again, I'll say see you next time.
Well,
That.
Marty Gaunt, who was the owner of the 96, used to say to me all the time in racing, it's not goodbye, it's I'll see you later.
I
So
like
that's
that.
the key in racing. All right, bud.
Well, in that case, I will see you later, PK. It's been a pleasure. Good luck this weekend in the next several weeks, and let's keep in touch, my friend.
Appreciate it, bud. Have a good one.
You too. See ya.